Okay. I mean, you're here. That's a plus.
Yeah. Wait, is it though?
So,
Okay. You want to kick off then?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, mouthful, but what I'm saying. So, welcome to the AMITPC. AMITPC. Think of something that's
Actually,
lots
great
of
community.
people.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, sure. It's April. We've got Kirsty McGrath on our way in to do a presentation on having change management champions in a real life scenario. So I'm Andrew Young, middle there, Brett Moffat. Slight changes in space.
That's it. And an improved photo too.
Finally in flesh, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Slight rostering changes, so we're going to say goodbye to Matt. Goes on some fun adventures, endeavours.
Yes.
Cut it while I make this
your
work.
job role has seen us lose Matt, unfortunately.
Still getting it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's interested, helping out, doing a thing. Yeah, hosting or presenting in general, just let us know. We're here. We move on. Just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, so the other people. Yeah, we also acknowledge pay respects rather to the cultural authority of the Aboriginal people, both here and travelling from the state of Australia. I'm sure that's much more than this. Cool. Blank space. Good.
Yep.
So, eagle-eye viewers may have noticed something different on the front page besides the rostering changes.
A new sponsor. Yes, I was going to say, what the hell are you talking about? Oh, a new sponsor. So, we used to be sponsored by Sorrison, which is the company that I worked for. I've now left Sorrison and started my own company called Systematic Solutions. And we've split up into two different groups. Systematic IT Consulting, which is traditionally what I always used to do, and then cybersecurity for small medium enterprises. So, yeah, I've been working with the small business departments and so forth in the government to work with federal government as well to be able to help small businesses with their cybersecurity piece, which is pretty cool. So I've decided to take that and sponsor the group as well, buy pizzas and those sorts of things. So I don't think we'll order pizzas in tonight, maybe we'll go out for pizza afterwards instead. It's such a simple group. So yeah.
Maybe a cheeky share pint.
There you go, that's what I'm thinking. There's no alcohol here, there is alcohol down the pub across
The actual user group had alcohol.
Yeah, okay.
Shots fired. What's new? We've already had some small discussions. He's probably going to start playing
Someone in the background. Neat little toy that ChatGPT everyone's typing some real stuff into it, coming up with some crap. But yeah, once you actually start to give it to real world scenarios and it comes out the PowerShell code for you to actually do your job for you. It's pretty cool.
Well, it helps you do your job, and
wow, yeah,
replacing you too soon.
No, it's not going to be replacing you too soon.
Touch wood.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a tool that you use on a daily basis going forward.
That one, I believe it taps into the Microsoft grants. Directs all the things it needs to that. So it's,
Yeah.
good. I think it was a little bit on Teams with the Copilot in the corner there. That's the second one. So yeah, there was also works.
Next Generation AI and Power Platform is changing how you develop low-code applications. Now with Power Platform, you can use natural language to bring ideas to life in a new design experience. With Copilot and Power Apps, describe your app in a few simple words, and Next Generation AI will create your app and help you refine and update it. With Copilot and Power Automate, building flows to automate your world has never been easier. You can start by describing your process in a few simple sentences, and Power Automate will build your flow. With Copilot and Power Virtual Agents, building a complex chatbot to answer and manage internal and external conversations has never been simpler. And with the AI Builder, you have access to the Azure OpenAI model in a low-code experience to configure and embed next-generation AI to generate, summarize, classify, translate text, and more in your apps and flows in a few clicks. The future of low-code starts today. Imagine it, describe it, Power Platform builds it.
Yeah, terrifying. Be great. Enabling all the citizen developers.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing with Copilot. I think we were having this discussion before the meeting started and everything like that. Microsoft's different silos of different groups. They'll pick something up and implement something, and then another group will come along and do something very, very similar, but it will be different components, and that's sort of, you need to know where to go for different components, especially with Intune and all of that endpoint sort of stuff. With Copilot being across everything, it's going to be that ubiquitous thing that sort of ties everything together. It's going to be really interesting to see where that all sort of comes along. So definitely, again, something that you can't deny, you can't turn your back on. It's going to be something that's right across everything with Microsoft, especially.
And just last week, it was Microsoft Secure conference, and coming from that, the headline was Security Copilot. Might speed this one up.
If you've ever worked in a security operations center, you know it can feel like mayhem. More open browser tabs than you can count, alerts and incidents popping up all the time. Security Copilot is different. It helps you simplify and focus. At the center is the prompt bar. Prompts allow you to ask a natural language question like, what are all the incidents in my enterprise? You can ask for a summary of a vulnerability, or you can feed in files, URLs, or code snippets and ask for information about them. You can also ask for information about incidents or alerts from your other security tools. What you input here stays within your control. Your data is your data. Your prompts and the responses they generate are all saved. Core to Security Copilot is an immutable audit trail so that an organization can always go back into the investigation to understand exactly what data went in and what came out. This is because transparency has been designed in from the very start. Security Copilot uses AI to generate a response to the prompt, using what it finds externally and internally to your organization. Here we can see a short summary of a vulnerability, and we can see where this information was sourced from. You can edit the prompt if you want to correct or adjust the response. And if you find something that's useful to your team, you can pin it to the pin board. Your pin board holds the responses as you work through an investigation. And the pin board dynamically updates. You can share your findings, export them, and collaborate on them with others. Now, Security Copilot doesn't always get everything right. Here, it has generated a reference to Windows 9, which doesn't exist. AI-generated content can make mistakes. So we've made it easy for you to decide when you want to share feedback with us so we can make Copilot even better. You can indicate whether the response was incorrect, unclear, or maybe incomplete. Prompts can be collected into something called a prompt book, essentially a set of steps or automations that either I or a person on my team has developed. So I don't have a reversing background. By reversing, I mean dissecting malicious code to understand what it does. One of my coworkers asked Security Copilot to reverse engineer a script, and it did it. They saved that prompt to a prompt book, and now I can use it. In this example, it reverse engineered a malicious PowerShell script, explaining what it did step by step in a way that pretty much anyone could understand. When I saw that Security Copilot could do something like this, it felt like a game-changing moment in our industry. With Security Copilot, you can do in minutes what used to take all day.
Pretty tough. Pretty cool. Pretty nice stuff. Only problem is the bad guys have the same tech. So, it's something that, yes, it makes our lives a lot easier to diagnose issues like that from a security type perspective, but bad guys also have the same tech to be able to go looking for vulnerabilities in code and things as well. So, it's, again, something we can't ignore.
This is like a good baseline. You're sort of trying to equal playing field.
Yeah, trying to equal playing field wherever we can, for sure. All right.
One more go live, and that's Dynamics. There's a few. So they've got
9 out of 10 workers said that automation and AI-powered tools would help them focus on meaningful work. Introducing Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot. AI-powered assistance to get more done with less effort and take on the tasks that keep you from the work that matters. From summarizing meeting notes, complete with action items and follow-up dates, to helping you get started with emails and content. Whether you're a seller following up with a proposal, a marketer promoting a new product, or a service agent providing world-class customer support, Copilot is there when you need it to suggest responses, documents, and ideas in the moment, and get help just by asking in a conversational way. Copilot features can help write a compelling product description for online stores, or help find the right audience simply by typing who they want to reach. Copilot can even help with your supply chain by predicting risks before they become a problem and provide clear steps to take action. Copilot is built into Dynamics 365 using artificial intelligence developed responsibly by Microsoft, empowering employees to deliver better customer experiences and drive efficiency across the organization. Dynamics 365 Copilot, the world's first AI copilot in both CRM and ERP.
Responsible AI.
No, responsible. Developed as a responsible AI.
We'll be transparent. It's been whatever for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just don't be bad.
Yeah.
Right, moving on. So, this was last week. We're getting a new Teams client coming. It's currently in private preview or public preview, means public. But yes, we announced that it's going to be available later in the year, I assume around Ignite, so November. As long as you've got preview turned on in your tenant, you should see a little button in the top left of your Teams client to try the new Teams. Once you toggle it, you get a message saying preview new Teams. Claims to be faster than mine, so apparently it's twice as fast, using half the resources. Just in general use. And hearing the guys test it, it does use much less memory, and it is very snappy. So even like video calls that used to be very fast, you join in, everything lags, and all the video feeds failing, but it's been a lot better. Yeah, multiple accounts involved, so when you have been invited as a guest user to multiple other tenants that you're a guest user, you don't need to keep switching. Once you've switched over, you initiate a chat, you can pop that chat out, switch back to your own tenant, and that chat stays consistent. Pop that window for you. It's pretty handy. And of course, it all looks different. So, more rounded edges, more Windows 11 stylized color.
Yep.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah, it's look like that. Already tell it's pretty hard.
The ability to switch between tenancies like that is going to be
Let's see if I can show on screen. So, just got a chat with Pete going on here. And bring this up.
Like you can switch tenant whilst you're on call.
Yeah.
That to me is like,
Makes all the difference being able to switch
Yeah.
tenancies like that.
It's very zoomed
Yeah,
in
it makes a
on
big
what it
difference.
is.
When you're in MSP, it makes things a lot easier.
As an MSP, absolutely, yeah. to be able to support multiple clients without having to, completely shift what you're doing, where you're at, and those things.
So in here, it's got me logged into the subnet tenant. So you've got a team in the background, and you've got a pop-up message with me and Pete, and you have a room. So that's through the Microsoft tenant. So I'm a guest user through that. So yeah, it stays up there. You don't have to keep changing back and forth. Used to be one of those annoying things when you get a message, you get notifications on every device, and you're like, you still get the notifications now, but at least it's user friendlier. Yeah, I guess it's the wish list was to make it easier. Now it's, well, I guess that is probably the best for now.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's, even like shared channels and stuff last year, that was pretty groundbreaking. Kind of, yeah. And the other thing you may have noticed in the background, the channels have got that new look. So we're going from top to bottom. You edit text, edit box, whatever you call it, is at the top. Takes a bit of getting used to. It's very jarring. I've heard people complaining already about it. So I thought it was coming to the current team's client. I don't know if it's still happening or we all just get moved across to the new
It does
client.
say coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sooner or later, you're going to hear some complaints.
I'm only just getting used to going back to the start button in the middle of the screen instead of in the bottom left corner.
I think what I like most is the fact that when you go post, it automatically brings up subject now for channels, which is really important.
Yeah, and it pops out of focus so that when you click in, like, you can see more, it actually changes context so that you can focus on that thread. It can also pop out threads. Probably should have showed that, but yeah, same as like chat, you can pop out threads. So yeah, you can stay in that conversation without having to switch between channels. And click back there again. The other thing that was announced was the preview of Microsoft Loop. So this is the web app and the mobile app, not the desktop app. I didn't see any desktop app announced. You can install the web version as a progressive web app on your taskbar. So it's like having an app, but it just opens up the web browser with that open. Let's see if I can pop that out. So there's the link to go to the site. Once you sign in with your account, it'll just do a welcome. It'll give you a bit of sample content, so just a workspace to begin with, a couple of pages, just introduce you to how to use it, I guess. Yeah, that page a bit more.
This would be another interesting one to do as a
yeah, absolutely.
How to use it, how to get the most out of it. It's where people are really using it to the full extent going forward. So
I feel like this is actually part of the website. You're scrolling, but it's scrolling the widget in there.
This is just Notion,
pretty much
note-taking app, isn't it?
Yeah, there's been a lot around it saying, oh, hang on, it's just Notion. You're knocking off Notion. I don't have the tech know-how to enable it all, but I'd love to. I wish I had the tech know-how to enable it all.
It's a bit different enabling this one in the tenant.
Yeah.
Usually just turn on, but no, you've got to go into
you've
some
got this
back
some PowerShell at the moment.
you can go PowerShell. There is a config section that you can go in, and you're like, yes, yeah, I'm allowing my users to use this. So that's a very IT admin focus approach to it. It'd be nice if it was just like any other app in 365 years ago. Yeah, I want this on, or just have it on by default because everything else is on by default.
Yeah.
That
would be good. We might do a session.
Copilot's also coming to Loop. Yeah.
Grab Daryl Webster.
Yeah, I got him last year. I was speaking of poking.
One soon to go. Right, let's get through the next verse. Co-word web space.
Yeah. And just all those Loop components you would have seen in Teams and Outlook as well on the web app. Yeah, everybody, everything, all the colors.
I'm loving the integration though with tasks because now all the reminders and everything, it all flows through, right through Planner and To Do and the lot. They're all connecting up now. Yeah, finally, that's right. Because we've had Loop in OneDrive. Now it's actually sitting on SharePoint, so it's actually flowing through onto SharePoint now, and so it can all tie together.
Yeah, when we have Copilot as part of it as well, we then be able to say, hey, as part of this, go off and generate me some marketing images for it or something like that, and have the AI go on and do something that, you'll start to be able to tie all that stuff together, which would be really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff. So hopefully more on that.
Definitely worth having a look at. We'll do a future session on it, sure.
All right. Talk about this last month. If you haven't already got a plan in place for some of those products, get to it.
Was it? Yeah, 2013. Get rid of it.
2030 is still going.
It's getting close. I mean, 11th, that's like next week, next Tuesday. So yeah, stop using Office 2030 next week. Store for business might hit.
Kazala, what a surprise.
Kazala, yeah. Never used it in the community. Right. It's like a chat.
Frontline, it was very much designed for frontline chat. It's a whole chat, mobile phone kind of solution. It's very much about the mobile phone app. Yeah. So chat, frontliners,
Touch on this briefly, there are some changes to the Microsoft 365 certifications. So new exams, retiring exams, betas, yeah. Again, if you've already got a certification, you just have to renew it. You get upgraded to the new ones. Happy days. Let's quickly touch on some communities. There is an M365 Power Platform community.
It's also the Sydney.
Yes, I'll have that member.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same these days.
Yes, it's lowdown by Microsoft on Wednesday. That's in. There's a new cyber threat intelligence unit group, APAC, that starts tonight.
Oh.
So online, so sign up for that. I think there's a few people joining this one who come from the suggested user group recommendations. So
Nice.
There's a bit of
Cross-pollination.
and then opportunities for user group. I don't know down to anything yet this year. Or we schedule anything. I might go see if anything happens. Have they Power BI user groups still going strong, I believe? Yeah, I guess anyway sometime. And then there's the M365 logging user group, so there's Melbourne and Sydney stream, and it's run by our guest speakers from Kirsty McGrath.
That would be me.
It's coming, turn off your basic all already yet. It was Women's History Month. I believe there's actually an event tonight as well. It's a pretty busy day. They've got a couple of people from yesterday and Mike Redden from Germany doing talk on ChatGPT. They've already signed up for that. You're here, so you did run over that soon.
Running late.
Yesterday or today, still be the same day in the States, but it's the 48th birthday of Microsoft, apparently.
And the Viva conference is the 20th, coming up on the 20th too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Viva
Summit.
SMB last week. Oh, I don't know. Adobe Acro PDF capabilities and Microsoft Edge. So I only heard about this today. So Edge used to just open up PDFs in its own way and see it, but great. Now that they're finally doing stuff I haven't seen, we might see it.
Let's have a little flashing as well, because that works so well. No. Yeah.
I'm thinking in more like a SharePoint kind of scenario where you would store PDFs and SharePoint, opening up in Edge, in browser, might be a better experience.
Certainly makes sense. It worries me. More and more integration into the browser always worries me with different stuff like this. The new crypto wallet that they're rolling out inside Edge as well. Yes, they're bringing out a crypto wallet inside Edge, and with the Microsoft tagline of "Just trust us, it's fine." I mean, it's crypto at the end of the day, so it's still secured by everything that happens inside that. But it's inside a browser that you can't uninstall. It's inside the operating system. Yeah. My cybersecurity spider sense is tingling. That's what makes
This is our launch event at tonight at 1:30 a.m. Adelaide time, so get the Dynamics and Power Platform people, that's the thing. 30 days of Azure AI, another event for April, so AI focused. Have a look at that.
Lots of cool stuff coming up.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, not traveling for any of them. Unfortunately.
The workplace conference is coming to Australia.
That's in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Coming in.
Clifton's Melbourne, so you can speak to that or?
Yeah, I'm putting in submission for 2 sessions. Yeah,
Cool.
there'll be May one and the breakout.
Mentioned earlier, 9th November, and yeah, just a reminder, stream Classic Retired next month. Movie video before they disappear. So yeah, on to our guest speaker,
Right.
Be some short, fun time switching here. I'll pull this. I'm gonna lose connection.
Okay. Because it's the. Do I need to join an online meeting? Okay, my apologies. Yep.
Join the wireless. You probably should have
I can.
just
I
like
can-
every other time.
I can just tether to my
Oh, yeah,
phone.
no.
Yeah, let me just tether. Easier done.
So
Okay.
let you fill in for yourself.
So the link is on Meetup.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't realise that we'd do that. So connecting.
Usually I would grab the slides and you.
Yeah, it's been a it is.
Yeah.
It's been a little chaotic. So apologies everyone online. I won't be long. It's all good. I'm coming in to meet up now. Join online. Here we go.
Yeah, cybersecurity level.
Yeah. Should probably post those links and stuff into the chat. Good fill.
Okay. I'll turn off the audio on the. Actually, will I need to have the audio? Where will I need to have the audio on?
You won't need audio on your computer.
Yep.
Okay. Turn that off. So they can hear through the room?
Yep.
Okay. Audio.
Yes.
Share.
And we can hear you online.
Woohoo.
Righto. Done. I am presenting now, however. Got to connect to the. Let's go. Do we need
That should
to?
have come through here.
Okay. Let's just double check. Duplicate. There we go. Yeah. Nah, we have a duplicating.
Here we go.
Ready to go. Done. Ready to go. That wasn't too harsh. Getting underway.
Quick.
Yeah. How many do we have online? We know.
About 10-ish.
10-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to those that are online as well. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we're meeting from today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and I extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islands people here today. So I am Kirsty McGrath. So I am an adoption consultant, an employee experience consultant, anything that sits under that end user space. I look after change, comms, training and analysis all around that. So that end-to-end piece. I am a Microsoft MVP for the last 5 years, up for the 6th award. We'll see. See how we go. Cross fingers. So I do run the adoption user groups for Australia. I have been doing that for over 7 years now. Hey, it's been a little while. I keep asking myself why, but I'm still here, still going strong. This particular presentation is available for you, so if you wanted to grab it afterwards, then feel free. I've got lots of different content in here to be able to help and support around the journey. My focus on this particular session is around a Change Champs program that I've executed to help support IT. And what did that actually look like? And working with IT to increase their skill sets as well when it comes to change and adoption. So yes, Microsoft MVP. I'm also certified online learning facilitator and I'm ProSci qualified on top of that. So I have those change qualifications to keep me going. Now, I thought I would bring in, our next session is actually being done by Corey Banks. Corey Banks is actually a behavioural architect in the ACM team at Microsoft. He's going to be speaking at the next user group on the 2nd of May around transitioning and change, like tech change, the tech process around keeping up to date with change and what does that look like. So he's coming to speak very soon on working with IT professionals around their change journey, which is a little different to what we do for a user change journey. Okay. I thought I'd bring this up. I grabbed it out of my presentation from today in regards to Copilot. I'm not sure if you saw the blog in terms of GitHub around using Copilot and the difference it's actually made for developers when it comes to Copilot. It's a rather interesting little blog piece to go and look at, considering they had nearly 100. And the difference it made using Copilot and helped reducing down the complexity of their role by getting rid of some of the extraneous simple things in terms of a few pieces around Copilot. So I thought you might like to see that. I'll just drop it in there for you. The other, I have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel contains a ton of stuff. We have all the different and past previous presentations on there. I also answer a ton of questions. So it is I've been very privileged to be able to get the Microsoft 365 adoption name from my YouTube channel because I had it from a while ago. Yay, lucky me. But I do an Ask Me Anything session. I do this along with Christian Buckley. He is a regional director as well as an MVP and lots of other global MVPs around the space and directors. And we answer questions for the community. So anything ever comes up, please feel free to ask, and as a group we'll come together and answer them for you. There is both high-end kind of technical type ones, which I don't get involved in as much, because unless I got my hair in a ponytail to catch all that on the way through, it's a little outside my skill sets. But, you know, sometimes I've got something to throw in. You never know. Okay. When it comes to Champs programs, I had Shari come in and actually have a speak about the Champs programs as well. So it is doing its own thing there at the moment. Oh, it's because it's wanting to jump to... Let's just move on. It's actually wanting to jump to the video because I put the link into the video there, so we won't go. But she actually spoke in regards to Change Champions recently at some of the Champs programs. I'm not actually talking about how to build out and execute a Champs program per se. I'm talking a little bit more around a real life scenario and what did it look like and how did I execute on one rather than designing and some of the building. So when it comes to our champs inside an organisation can be a massive change in terms of the way that we work. I have spreadsheets around how much will it cost if I actually bring in external people to run programs to keep up to date in education across an organisation. Big ones around productivity and how much you're saving, and if you use them, what does it look like? Significant savings. On average, if it's a 400-person organisation, you only need 10 champs ultimately to make a huge difference inside the business. But what we want to do is try and make sure that we choose champs that are going to be of value to the business. They're the yes people they like to do. Having a voluntold person is not going to work. And there are times where we need a voluntold. You might be doing a migration of data and you just want someone that can kind of do a few things and help out, but they won't stick around for you. So you want people that are going to stick in a program. So when I bring in all my champs and we start to have a look at it, what did I do? So when going into this organisation, we started to see a significant shift in around 6 months. But I started right back, well, who were they? I needed to know who were the champs that were already there. And there was a significant number. There was like nearly 60 odd champs inside this organisation of 450 people. I'm going, oh, that's an awful lot of champs. Are they actually active? Are they doing anything? And I said, I want to know who you are. So I put out a survey just asking them all about them and who they are and what are their favourite things, what do they like to do, what topics would you like to have a play around with. So as part of the Champs program, when I went, okay, who are you? I went, are you actually comfortable with 365? Because when I was talking with the service desk, they were coming up with, we've got all these problems going on, but we've got all these champs and they don't seem to be making a difference inside the business. So I said, okay, how comfortable are you, number one? So on average, they gave themselves a sort of a 7 and 8. I'm pretty comfortable. But when I started to truly get into it, they had no idea around the tech. Okay, if they're comfortable in their job, but they weren't necessarily comfortable around 365 when we really started diving in. Now, some they were ready to at least learn in their comfort, so they were willing to be putting themselves out there. So I went, okay, pick your favourite topics. So I wanted to see what was their favourite things, what do you want, what do you like, and they like Teams, like awesome. No one's using Teams. When I joined the organisation, it was chat, meetings. I did 20 channel messages, and in 1 month, I was the largest user of Microsoft Teams, and they had it over 18 months. So no, they like it, but they don't know Teams at all. Okay, so they're having all these issues of where files were sitting. They were using OneDrive and not SharePoint. So they're getting lots of service desk calls, and so getting absolutely hammered with end user general questions. So I'm kind of going, like, what do you know? Well, they know OneDrive and they know SharePoint. They're their favourite products. Yeah, they had no idea. Okay, so as we got into it, I went, right, of them, what would you use on a daily basis? I wanted to have an idea of what they used all the time. They went, using OneDrive, lots, okay, daily, SharePoint daily, Teams daily. And I'm going, okay, let's have a look. The stats in the back end aren't necessarily supporting some of this. I'm sort of going, it's interesting, their perception of it compared to what the analysis was looking like when you pull up the reporting in the back end. And I'm going, do you know any of these other products? No idea whatsoever. Okay, some of them, no idea. So, okay, that's interesting. Let's have a look. Now, from there I went, what would you like to learn something about? So OneDrive comes up then as a, a maybe. There was plenty of, kind of yes, there's still a whole heap of unfamiliar, even just Planner, for example, forms and to-do, I'm just unfamiliar with some of the standard stuff. So I guess they want to know pretty much anything. They're willing to learn. So that was good. They were willing to get themselves out there and start learning. So in terms of teaching then, what I did was I've been working with the service desk and I've been working with champs. So now I'm sitting down, I'm spending a ton of time with the service desk because I know there's a lot of issues. So I did a loop up and I was working with them and doing meetings with them and going, I'm going to start doing Kirsty Thursday so we can start to educate. We were working with the service desk, working with the change champions, and if I'm going to take it out to the rest of the business, what are we going to do? Where is there a real issue? So they were then helping to prioritise the things that they think would actually help the organisation based on all the calls that they're getting slammed with as a service desk. Okay, so it's like, right, let's workshop these with the champs. Let's see if they've got anything that they want to have included. So this is what the service desk want to see go on. So I'm going, right. So then we go, okay, based on all of this, we've got 3 real core topics that are a massive pain point for them. Sharing the links, where are their files, and understanding channels. Because they just didn't get it and they were having all these problems. So this is where we can start from. Now I'm educating the help desk in all this too, because if I'm educating the champs, they're damn well going to go through the same education. Because half the time they don't know the basics of doing some of the work. And we certainly saw that come through when I was doing the same thing for them as the champs along this journey. We tend to get and I've worked with a lot of help desks, a lot of teams, just hundreds of them in doing training. I've trained over 180,000 people. I go around working it all. I've done well over 60, Office M365 rollouts. I've seen it in so many facets. And it's the same in pretty much nearly wherever I go. So when we looked at, this looks somewhat in the basic type of stuff, but it can have a really big negative impact on the calls that are actually coming in. But what I did was I then took it out and I went, okay, I need to create a space for my champs. They had no way, what they were doing was they were having 2 sessions a week. They had an Ask Me Anything on a Wednesday and they had a Come and We'll Tell You What's Going on a Friday as part of the project. So they're having 2 sessions a week, of which no one was really turning up to. We had 4 people on a Wednesday and you're lucky if there was 3 to 6 on a Friday. Same people. Same faces, 60 champs, and you've got a few that kind of turn up. And I'm going, okay, let's just start to see who is actively engaged. So I created a team where they could go. And in this team, underneath the general channel, I started to put in things like the champs management platform, because I was going to start doing a bit of gamification and give them challenges that I wanted them to do. I had a session registry, and that session registry is, this is the day that I've run this session. This is the topic that I'm going to be doing. Here is the description. Here is the technology I'm going to touch on, because I created a list. Then it was going to be, and I've done it now, a link to the recording, a link to the presentation, and a link to any OneNotes. So I built up this big repository of information that I can draw on at any point. So I was building out a session registry, and there was their profile form. Then we did the whole, well, what are you using for what? So we created the Chance Corner, and in the Chance Corner was a ton of different learning tools, things that they could come back to be able to learn and take on their own journey. And I wanted to see just how interested they were on a learning journey out of all of these people. The Microsoft 101 channel was, here's where you ask questions. I will answer it, the team will answer it, you can all answer each other's questions. So we got then a learning channel going for them around the question and opening up, because they were asking service desk. I didn't want them asking service desk. Most of it was end user type questions. So where can we help to field the questions they get asked from their team? We pulled it away from service desk and we put it into a modern workplace where, as a team, we could start to then answer those modern workplace team. So we started to shift where the calls were coming in to reduce the pressure on help desk that we were just getting absolutely slammed. Okay. So from there, after building this safe space where they could come and chat and talk, when I was working with my change champions, I then had to go, well, you don't know me. Okay? I'm coming in and I'm telling you, you know, let's do what do, challenge, all sorts of stuff. So on every single session, whenever I ran it, so what have I been up to? Here is me, here's my family, this is my daughter and my grandson. I do cake decorating, so there's always cakes and cookies and things, and I've gone to this concert and I've done that. So even though I couldn't meet them, because they're all over Australia, I couldn't meet them in person, they felt like they knew me. So therefore I was building a trust with them, and that they could call or message me anytime that they needed to, because I became that one funnel person to look after the chance. And at first, yes, busy. But you know what? Quiet now. They only call when because I've given them so much knowledge now that that's all simmered down. And now they're all supporting each other and doing more in the channels and answering each other because they've got a trusted space. And they know that I will always help them should they reach out. It doesn't happen so much anymore. So it starts busy, but got quieter. So we're building out the trust and getting to know me. It made a huge difference to my relationship with my champs. I've just been travelling all around Australia, hence why I'm in Adelaide doing execution. Here's my champs. You know what do? They come running up and go, get there! And I get big hugs when I walk in the room. I really shifted from being a stranger on a screen, just telling them how to do something, to feeling like they've got a friendship. Never met them before, but hey, you know, the joys of being online. So from there, so here it is, my executing the training. And I went in and I started to go based on what they wanted to learn. Because I got the survey, what do you want to learn? Based on what service desk went. Issue. I then started running, and this is coming back to June last year. It's been running now for what, 8-9 months, where I've gone in and I've done all sorts of different topics. I've done lists and planner and OneNote and teams, and broke teams down to starting, and a channel, shared channels, and I give them every month the what's new in terms of end user, because I run that already. I just take the presentation and I then present it to them. So this is what it started to look like when it came to building up that repository of links for them. So what happens is now later on, they go, I want to teach my team Microsoft Lists or Planner or OneNote. They've got there the presentation, they can just go grab. They can double check how to actually teach in it if they wanted to, and then go and do it themselves. So less pressure on me with the organisation coming to me going, can you help me? I just go, your champ is, go talk to them. Okay? So what I did off the back of doing all this training, we did 8 weeks solid of this is the tech. Normally I'd spend a full day with change champions showing and working, or 2 days, but we couldn't do that. We're online, hybrid. I broke it down into 1-hour sessions. We did 8 1-hour sessions going across a ton of tech for a short period of time. And off the back of that, it was then, okay, we've got all this knowledge, a mass amount of knowledge I don't, how do I break it down for them to start doing things? So we started setting up some challenges for them as a group and saying, these are the things that I want you to do each week. Okay? This is your challenge this week. This is your challenge this week. And I had it in a presentation because we were meeting with them every week at this point. Okay? And we started to shift this. It took a little bit, we started to shift it and broke it down. So I had all my challenges that I had set for 7 weeks of things that I wanted them to do. And we'll come back to what I did in regards to the 60 champs in a minute. So here we go. I've got it setting in and working my way through. So I then put them into the channel and I said, here is now, because I presented what they all were. And then every week I also talked about what I wanted them to do and put it into the channel saying, I would also like you to give me screenshots or pictures or show me or tell me what you've actually done. I want you to feed it back around. Because the beautiful part of that is I could start doing articles on SharePoint going, look at what's going on. This is what's happening and how we're shifting. And it's a pretty big shift to move everyone around in terms of modern ways of working, all working out loud and collaborating and understanding good and best practice communication and collaboration. So what we did was, it's like, I've gone in and, our good morning was, I did this and I put it here, it's relevant for the whole team. What is it that we can do from today? Make all your work-related communications through this channel. This was their post to their own team. And what I did learn off the back of this was, when I was setting them a challenge, it was easier if I gave them, what is the post I want you to put in the channel to give to your own team? So I've had to kind of do a bit of spoon feeding in some respects. So I went, they're not doing it. Let's make it a little easier for you. Say this, literally, say that and that and that. So I started giving them ways, but we started to see a real shift once they knew, well, how do I pitch that to my own team? Because that was a challenge for them to pitch it. So this was the very first challenge that we did in week 1. And off the back of that, they started to do some amazing work. And I'll show you the stats around what that looked like from the very first time I did it. So I would then go, we'd be having our meetings with them and I go, how did you go, guys? Give me an idea or send me pictures or what did you do? And they started to talk about it. And they started showing me, like presenting the screen and showing me what they were doing. And it's like just some amazing work that they actually had gone out and done. And I would then make sure I praised. So at the end of every week, I would praise who was my top champ. So I started to praise them, so they were getting acknowledged. And it was going on an internet site. These are all the champs and these are our top champs. So they started to get recognised by the business as well for the work that they were doing and coming back around. So this is the stats of what it looked like. So I'm working with them, I'm teaching, training. We hit doing the session on working out loud in a channel. And we went from, on average, around about the 120 and doubled overnight. They went out and went bang and pulled people into channels and started working. It literally then, we started to see it go up in terms of activity type really fast. So if you get some good champs and you nurture them, we started to see a real shift in working out loud. That was a 540% increase in 6 months. That's a significant shift in behaviour with people. Right? Now, this is just, by this point, I've reduced it down to 32 champs by this point from 60, because what I started doing is I just started kicking people out. Do you know what? And out of those 30 odd people I kicked out, one person came back. One came back and said, oh, I don't seem to be in this team anymore. Because what I was doing was I was pulling who was attending all the sessions. I got the past sessions that I hadn't even been running, attendance list for there. I pulled all the sessions, who was actually coming along, how long were they staying for, so how regularly were they in, are they in here, are they reacting, are they actually commenting, are they coming in, what are they doing? If there is silence, bang, they were out. I didn't give them any word that they were out. I wanted to see, did they even notice? Nah. Because they were voluntold, they didn't care. One person came back, he goes, oh, I know I can't come to the meetings, but I always watch the recording. And I come in and I keep an eye out on it. I know I don't react too much, but I really love it. And this is what I'm doing with my team. Because I said, I want a meeting with you. You want back in. I wasn't letting just any champ come in. I was going to vet them all at this point. So you don't get to come into our party unless you're going to do the right thing. Okay? And there was agreements that when I did a meeting with them, to make sure that I had this upward trend, My meeting with a champ, no champ gets to come in unless I've actually had a 1 hour session with you and your senior leader. Okay? Because the senior leader also needs to know that you are going to spend a minimum 2 hours a fortnight with me. And if you're coming in at a later date, you've got about 10 hours of catch-up work that you're going to have to actually go and watch, because I'm not retraining you all over again. Okay? And I need you to assign a minimum 1 to 2 hours, at least 1 hour every week towards this. So if I'm going to have champs and they're going to help me on rollout and they're going to do this, do you agree as a manager? Yes, I'm really excited they're going in. I go, and do you agree to do this work? Or have you been told that we want you on the team to do it? And you kind of see the look on the face. And I'm going, I'm happy to have a chat with you and make sure that we've all got the right skill sets. Why are you here? Because if I've had someone say to me, and I have had them as a champ, where they've actually gone, so why are you here? Why are you in my room, or why you're online? Why do you want to do this? Oh, look, my grandkids have really got into this now, and I'm a bit, I think maybe it's time that I get up to speed. It's like, you're not a champ. I love you, sweetie, but that is not going to work. Because you've got to have those base skill sets for someone to walk up and go, and they're the trusted people in the organisation already. They're already saying yes. It's like an MVP. We become an MVP because we're already doing it. And then we get recognised for what we do. Same thing. So when I invite champs in, if I go out and go in an organisation, we're looking for champs, would you like to be a champ? I will then vet them before I allow them in. Like, what are they doing? Are they helping already? It's like, oh my God, they're driving me crazy, but I don't have some of the skills and they want to know. And they're the yes people in a business. They help us. They don't like to say no. So we started to see a real shift in a really short period of time of 6 months, some significant shifts. Now, when I did the pull down, who was doing what? At the end of the year, I went, okay, I gave the award. Who attended the most sessions? Now, I had in this session the CIO, as well as the CTO. They all were coming into the session, as well as the project manager and myself and all of the champs. They was all turned up, plus our team are all there. So the CIO was there. He's seeing all these stats and analysis, and there's a whole heap more, by the way. And I went, well, who's attended the most sessions? And it was like, yay, I won't say the name of the person. He has actually attended a total of 33 sessions. He came to every single session that I had done, every one. And I went, that's great. Came to every session, but who stayed the longest? Not just about that. It's like they came in, who was here, hanging out with me, and it was someone else. And they had actually stayed for over 23 hours with me learning. That to me is someone that's, really wants to be engaged. It's not just who's come to every session, who also came, because they had actually stayed for 5 hours longer than the person that had been there, but there were 3 of them. Yeah, it's not enough. You've got to look at both. Okay, stay for a little longer than we thought. Then, the other thing I had done is I'd set up the Champs Management platform. So there's actually a platform for gamification. You can do tournaments of teams, you can set up what do you want them to do, give points, so they can fill it out. And I was saying to them, if you train someone, you get 10 points. And if you do this, you get 5 points. And that, you get 20 points. And this, you go in and say, and sign, I did this, or I attended the session. If I attended the session, I get this many points. Okay? So you come in. So in terms of who was then the top champ, it's usually the one who's going in and doing the most work and putting their stuff in. But my top champ, who actually happened to be a fellow by the name of Scott, he's up now to 280, by the way. No, fairly easy. So 200 points. I'm down on 30 because I'm not filling it out. I don't want to compete with them. I'm always at every session, so it's no use me being in there, but I was just showing them how to assign stuff. So he's then putting in, so down the very bottom, you can actually plug in what's the activity, and there's someone already preset for them to pick and choose, okay? Now, his was, I've answered a question in the channel. Someone in the Microsoft 101 has asked something, they've come in and answered, go put a point, because you were active in the community, so you get a point. Taught. Anyone that you teach, you get a point, okay? So he was then plugging it all in. But if you post a question into the champion channel, you be vulnerable, because it's hard sometimes to go and ask a question. I'm asking someone to be vulnerable, and if you're being vulnerable, then I'm going to give you more points for being vulnerable. I don't know. because often it's hard for us to, as specialists even, to go, I don't know how to do that. And I know even as an MVP, I start to go, oh, I should probably know that, but I don't know, does someone else know? Okay, so vulnerability was important for me. Okay. I've also put in here that where can you go to, it's just a plug-in, it's an app, it's on GitHub, there's in the repository, you can just plug it into any tenant to do gamification around learning. So you can put anything in there, anything you want on the platform around learning. Okay, so it's good one, right? So from there, I would be doing posts, regular posts around what's going on, what's happening, keeping them up to date. Don't forget, this is what we're doing tomorrow. I would always be going in and trying to keep their knowledge up to speed. We had regularly, on average, 27 plus coming every single week. I can't the Ask Me Anything session, okay? Because people were coming, they didn't really know what to ask. So next minute I'm teaching them a bit on Word, a bit on PowerPoint. This is all, you're getting more. I prefer to have it structured. So we just did a Friday champ session. We eventually could drop it down to once a fortnight because they were all coming. Okay? They were all coming in. They were all so desperate for the knowledge, and we saw them starting to learn. And we saw it in the stats in the back end of the things that they were then pushing out. And we saw the calls going down, 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 down in the service desk, in terms of help desk, going down. And all the questions that were crappy questions that are the end users, simple little things like sharing a link and getting it wrong. And how do I get in? And they can't edit it. Why can't they edit it? Or I've loaded a document into Teams, but they copied it from OneDrive into Teams. So now they've got a local version in OneDrive, and they've got one in SharePoint. And they're working on the recent document here. They're working in SharePoint here. Why can't I see what their changes are? Why can't I see? So two different documents, just simple behavioural things that will hit a service desk. We were eliminating the vast proportion of those sorts of questions, freed them up to then be not as do more technical work with the numbers, of course, because that was their core skill sets. So I created then a public team. So I started executing, and we then started going out. Now they don't have Viva Engage / XYammer, they don't have it, but we were using Teams. So I created this MoWo, and in there it was champs. I want you to come in and say hi, and who are you? Because we're going to work on it. Ideas on how to do things. It was a productivity. What can we do a little differently? Champs, I have just given you a presentation of all these cool things. I want you in all these presentations to go in, take the words and a picture, and I want you to post into the ideas on how to do something in 365 and just put it in. You've got a gazillion presentations to choose from. What do you want to talk about? What do you like? What have you learnt? Now start crunching it in here as a public team. The training corner. So I've just gone right around Australia. I've done 2 hours on the art of the possible with 365 because I've had it for 2 years. I had no idea how to use it. Okay, so I've done an art of the possible as part of our sessions, and I'm going to continue running training across the business. In here, in announcements, it has been fixed, by the way. It actually doesn't say announce. It's got no N in there. That's been fixed now. I need to put another screenshot. But that's then 365. You know, Teams alone has had over 500 updates already. It was like 726, I think it was, the previous year, constantly changing and updating. And then the how do I was, this is not for service requests across the business. It's how do I do something to get a way for the whole organisation to ask, how can I do this in 365? Champs can answer and we can answer. So it became anyone can then post a question and reduce even more down what was going on for the service desk. Okay? So we started to see a real shift within the business when we opened out a program that actually helps around adoption, change, training. So with my champs, I was sharing both tips and best practice with both those same 8-hour sessions I ran for the champs, I ran for the service desk. They all loved it. Because often they don't do standard productivity and how to do different work. So they went, that's pretty cool, or I didn't know you could do that, or the end user asked me and I had no idea. You know, so I'm not quite sure how to solve it. So we did it with both of them so they can then start to learn. Okay. Then if they're not living up to the expectations, what do you then do with them, whether it's sort of help desk or it's the champs or across the organisation? So I then had a look at, you know, how can I help them or who can help them? depending on what the question was. And if they're not living up to the expectations inside as being a champ, I would speak with them personally on the side. Okay. I wouldn't do it in the session, but I was constantly rewarding and asking and thanking them for the work that they did, and rewarding in many different ways. If it isn't working, like if something wasn't working, so for example, when I was doing, I'm going, hang on a second, that didn't work. I'm not seeing the metrics shift on that topic. What happened? And I taught, I gave you a chat, I gave you a thing, and I'm going, well, the team was really resistant because of blah around security or around they didn't trust it or they didn't. Yeah, there's usually an end user behavior that's going on. So if it wasn't shifting, I got them to open up the communication with me to find out why. Because if I understood why, I could give them the argument around adoption as to why you might shift it so it wasn't getting hammered on the help desk. Because it's not just about me feeding to them, it's about listening to the organisation. Because they're going, we can't do that because of, I've come in, I'm new. They go, we can't do that. It breaches our security policy because we're under DTE, the DTE blueprint for Go. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work, is it? So I've got to hear them too. Okay, so we did a get together and we started adjusting the program. Even as part of the training, they said, we can't do that. So what can you do? We're not sure. Let's go find out for you. Come back. What can you do? You can do this. Guess what? Yeah. Now, the tidy up. I said if they weren't actively participating in learning, they were out. Okay? Are they watching? Because I didn't always guarantee. Maybe they couldn't come. If I've seen they're not coming regularly, after I've whittled it down based on previous attendance, I would then go, why not? I found one or two want to be seconded for 3 months, but the moment they were back, they literally were messaging me, Kirsty, I'm in the team, I'm back, I'm so excited to be back, I'm sorry, what can I do? Yeah, there are reasons why, so I don't always make an assumption. What was the exit strategies? I also found out from the service desk who was the noisiest in my champs. And is it because they're asking for someone else? Is it because they struggle with the tech themselves? Is it because they're very curious and they go, how do I do and how can I support them some more? So I'm going, who are you noisy? Who are my noisy champs? Here's the list of champs, guys. Talk to me, because they know them. Yeah? We all know who those people are. And who are those that are challenging? Champs that were having issues. So we did speak with them around it. I was really wanting to engage with them around getting stories from them. Because if I had stories, I could take those stories out to the rest of the business on how and why. Okay. Did the business know the champs? They had no idea who the champs were. Never been articulated. No one knew. Hence why we created a SharePoint site. And as part of my survey I did was, tell me a bit about yourself. So on our public site, we just went, they love this in 365. This is their favourite feature. And this is a bit about me. I love dogs and I do this on my weekends. So we're starting to get to know the champs. Okay. And then the reward. And the reward was acknowledgement from senior leadership. The reward was getting time with me. Book an hour and I'll spend some time with you. If you're doing a ton of work and you want to ask me questions, I then, and a lot of the reward was having us at their fingertips at all times. Okay? Wherever it was, they were messaging me, I would immediately respond and go, I'm in a meeting. I will come back to you the moment it finishes. Is there anything that you've got as a question for me that I might be able to answer whilst I'm not presenting or doing something? So I get them to chime in. So they knew that they had me there as a support. Now, I would help them out. There are champs calls that are actually run every single month by Microsoft. Okay, so every month they come in, there is a presentation that you can actually download in the video. It's got the stuff with Loop, it's got the new team stuff in there, it's got the hows and the whys, and there's all sorts of different components around there. The metrics and how we use the adoption scores, for example, it flows into Power BI, and you want to know how to do some of the measurement, it's all in here and talking and presenting. It's got technical stuff, little on the technical as well as the end user. So those champs call. The next one's coming up on the 25th of April. Of course, they're always at all hours of the morning because it's with Seattle and with Caruana, who heads up Microsoft Teams in terms of product management and adoption. There is the blog that comes out somewhat regularly of all the different news. around adoption. The Microsoft adoption site, if you go into the adoption site, mass amount of resources on there. There's even some Azure, I don't know if you've seen the Azure Learning demos, like the lists, for example, there's 2 on lists that you could do. There's all these Azure click-through learning demos in there. Go and have a look. If you want to see what's new, there is a resources, and under there is anything that's new across the page. There are how to do adoption across everything, all these lookbooks, ebooks, presentations you can download, heaps of stuff there to be able to help with support. There's the Modern Workplace Superheroes, which started a little while ago with videos of what's new and other functionality in there. So, as a program, we started to see just such some significant shifts. We had one team, it's got 4 people in it. They are the largest poster in the channel for the whole organisation, doing an amazing, amazing job. For every individual in that team, in a month, they do 121 channel posts a month. They are replying, they are reacting, they are heavily engaged. They do no email as a team, not one. And as our project, we do no email. And it speeds us up significantly, and we become a learning team if we work out loud properly in a channel. And so we started to see some real shifts, pulling down the chaos in a business, increasing it as a learning organisation. So anyway, that's the information there around the Chance program and how we managed to turn things around for the service desk as well as the business. Any questions on anything? Any questions from online?
As the call rate goes down in an organisation, you can see that coming down. That can quite often be a whole bunch of reasons, like the end users going, you know what, I can't be bothered calling them.
Yeah.
Was there any customer satisfaction survey or CSAT or?
There is in the organisation around technology, so information goes out regularly. We're seeing, and I've got another one coming up, and to try and see what it looks like. We were looking at, we've got a post, a pre and a post, so I'm about to do the post as part of that. Plus then for the service desk, it's logged as the type of call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so from that alone, you can start to see the shift in the nature of the type of calls. And the main type of calls were then all regards to old legacy systems rather than new modern M365 environment, because when they rolled it out, it's like when you're in the pandemic, it's very difficult to absorb anything. Everyone is just in the do. Things are going out hard and fast. They started from virtual desktop and shared drive, and in the middle, of course, of the pandemic, like most organizations, bang, we're just going to start using Teams, let's go. And very little education, and so people just don't know. And when you're under pressure, from a learning perspective, it's very difficult to learn because you're in the do. And when you're under pressure, we saw it. Like I look after the Teams. I was in the Microsoft Teams for Education in Facebook. Teachers globally all of a sudden have to use Teams. They're not searching, they're just asking the question immediate. I just need an answer just in time. Now. I literally had a OneNote full of copy, paste, hundreds of times, copy, paste. It's like, how can I share the audio when I'm presenting? The button right there, and I've now said it 100 times, but then you go copy, paste is the button that you can, because when you're under that kind of stress and pressure, they're not going to search, they're not going to find, they're not going to learn. So you have to pick your moment and then work out what just in time looks like, or build out a program to support them for ongoing education when they've got the listening ears on and start to shift from a change perspective. But yes, definitely measuring, definitely seeing where the shifts and the changes are coming from. Unfortunately, because of the type of calls, the nature of the business, I can't put those stats up in terms of the shift, because it then has got a lot of people's personal information. It's just too hard to bring that sort of stuff up. But it's certainly something that, and it's quite an antiquated system that they've got too, and they're looking at swapping over to new type of help desk system at the moment. So,
Is there, like when you get the service desk and they get the calls and they got the workload and they know, I've got a job.
Yes.
Calls go down. Do people start panicking about their job?
No, because there was still plenty of other stuff that was actually going on.
Yeah.
But what they weren't doing was having to physically walk up to someone's desk. Because people are in panic, half the time, especially with new tech too. And I can't do. And there were still questions, but the nature of the questions just shifted to the more technical off the back of the end user. It was just a shift in then sort of the next step. So the panicking on the job, the other part was it's difficult in the pandemic. We saw a real attrition and churn going on. And I know this is a Gov organisation as well. There's been mass exodus out of Gov because it's just not offering what enterprise who's so desperate for people. They can't compete. So they were getting less and less people on the service desk to manage all of these chaos. They were absolutely overwhelmed. People were getting out because it was overwhelmed, stabilised now. So they had a service desk that was crying out, literally in panic.
Yeah. And certainly what I find in IT service management, whenever you automate a process or things start to call rates go down or whatever that you've been able to successfully do, there's still plenty of work for service desk people to do. But what it means is that the phone calls you're not restricting people to 5 minutes on the phone call because you have to get off that phone call because it's an annoying ring. So all of a sudden their call lengths go out to 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. And then they're really working through with and all of a sudden those calls aren't going through to the second level people.
Yeah.
The second level people are then wanting more project work done. They're pulling people off the service desk to be able to help out, and you're training people through the organisation. I've very rarely seen organisations cut people off the service desk because their call rates went down so dramatically. And if they did, then they were well and truly understaffed in the first place anyhow.
The other thing that they were able to do was open up being able to do more learning pathways. They could start putting their staff on courses and go, we want to increase their skill sets. We can now pull people off and put them on because it gives them the ability to increase. And so then you've got a much happier, more satisfied service desk that are as part of that learning curve then within the business. And then they were able to handle more complex things instead of, and being on the call. So what happens is that the end user isn't getting pushed off. They're like going, oh, they were so helpful. And while I was there, I asked them about this and I asked them about, and it was, next. It was like, whoa. Yeah, so they got more time, as you said. It's no longer the 5 minute done, and do it for them. They can educate the user as part of the process too. So if it happens again, they know how to deal with it. And that helping the help desk to help educate the end user is half the battle. If they don't have the time to educate the end user as part of that process, you're going to have the same thing. They're going to come back to you again and again and again, which also increases the calls.
Yeah, I was just wondering because my previous job, we only had 3 on the desk, like MSP.
Yeah.
And my manager wasn't too worried about me being on the calls.
Yeah.
Like doing first level service desk job. Yeah. And then I would spend time on it. And then I ended up allocating more time to level 1, to level 1 rather than doing my side of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the help desk seemed to become more productive. And then when I left, they managed to do it. I just, you see a lot of dissatisfaction in service desk when they see the numbers go down. Oh, my job's going down, but they don't.
Yeah.
It's that social bit of handling them too.
Yeah. We actually found that their satisfaction went up because they weren't dealing with people. They like when they can do something that's a little bit more helpful as part of the service there. So it wasn't that they were going down as such, it was the nature of them was shifting into things that made them feel they were more productive in their role. So that's where the shift came in. So, and if they did have more time, at least they could schedule them to do some learning, to increase their skills, to take on something and maybe even move to a level 2 role or do something. We've had 1 or 2 that have left the service desk but have gone into a completely sidestep. One's just gone over to procurement, something completely different. But they started building some skill sets that they wanted to. But we weren't having people literally like rats out of the aqueduct, vanishing. And we found that they were getting better job satisfaction, and it was a lot more stable once we started to do it. So, yeah. And every organisation is different too. You adjust these programs around as you need to, but this was working specifically with them to address a problem that they say was a problem for them. So it's like, what can I do? And now I've got my core champs. When I do lose someone and they're going, I'm leaving, I'm going to, it's like, no. Because it's like, get on and go, hello guys, I had a lot of fun with them, and you know, I really got to know them very well, which is really lovely. You know, I like having that relationship with some really cool people that are willing to learn. So yeah.
I like the idea of the gamification plugged into Teams as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can do something like that. I'll certainly be checking that one out.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different topics you could use that for, not just. Yeah.
They've got 3 preset tournaments for teams. Like they've got some, and you can customize and pull out if you don't allow them to do, I don't know, connectors or whatever. You can just pull that off the list as one of the things that they can tick. So you can just go in the tournament and just drop those 3 in if you wanted to, but you can build all your own tournaments on anything that you want. And then you can just, on top of that, then you can do what's the other things that you would like them to do. You can just start listing them out. It all sits on a SharePoint site. So, and you just plug it all into the SharePoint site and kind of like lists, and it all pulls through to the app in the front end. It's quite easy to work with and manage as a SharePoint site. Okay.
Yeah.
So, as I said, if you want to connect with me at all, please feel free online, and there's the presentation if you would like any one of those links or information.
Beautiful. And of course, we record this session and we'll put it up on the YouTube channel in the next 24 hours.
Yep. There you go.
It's ambitious, but yeah, sure.
Okay.
I know. It's like today's session that I did. We had, I think I had Andrea Lum, the product manager for Bigger Learning, came in and presented. Yeah, I thought so. So yeah, it's not me. I haven't had a chance to breathe since that. I ran a 2-hour training session this morning, a 2-hour training session this afternoon, a 30-minute Surface Hub huddle, and my user group, and tonight. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for letting me come in and present.
All right. And that's it for us. Yeah, I think so. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you everyone online. There wasn't any questions online, was there?
Not that I heard.
No.
Nice chats.
Just many thanks and great questions.
So,
There we go. All right.
yeah. I'll let you.
Oh,
come in.
he can stop.